Hey everyone, welcome back for episode 5. It's going to be a bit of a busy episode for us here today. We're going to have lots of things on the go. Firstly, we are going to continue the slow expansion of our suburb that we made last episode, as well as leveling up our zoo and our nature reserve. Now both these parks actually have enough entertainment for the next level. We're just waiting on visitors. So actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start an advertising campaign for both parks, so hopefully that will speed up the visitors coming in, and once they do level up we will get a notification, and then we can add any new buildings that have unlocked throughout the episode here as we're going. And lastly, today what we're going to do is we are going to kind of do some polishing and improving on the suburbs that we've already created, and that includes from the end of last episode the unlocking of all these disaster services that we need to get into our city, as well as university, and actually we're going to start some public transportation and get a metro in throughout our city. So I think that will be quite a bit for the episode today, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, we are going to start with some of the disaster detection services that were unlocked. We're going to make sure we get a seismometer in here, the deep space radar, and also upgrade our radio mast that we have. So the seismometer actually covers quite a big area, so it looks like for now we're only going to need one. I think around here will be a pretty good central location. It should cover everything. Excellent. And I'm going to put the deep space radar just right here for now. I just want to have it in as soon as I can get it in. And then we're going to upgrade the radio mast. So we had one originally, I think from episode 2, and it only covers quite a small area. But as you can see, the upgraded tall radio mast will cover our whole city. So we want to get one of those in, and again I'm just going to put it right here just for now, so that makes sure everything is covered. That looks pretty good. So the deep space radar and the fire helicopter depot, the weather station, and the police and ambulance helicopters, I actually want to get all those in. And I'm thinking of using this little strip of land right here by the highway as a location for those. It's far enough away from our residences that the noise pollution won't bother them, and it's close enough to the water for the fire helicopters to get water and go put out any forest fires. So what I want to do is I want to have the highway, or pardon me, the road, match up with the road that I already have on the suburb here. So this is just a temporary dirt road going in there so I can get the angle correct. Of course, we are going to delete all that. We do not want a road going right through our zoo. Actually, I'm going to get a little bit of residential going while we're doing that. Move back over here. So that's a pretty sharp corner here again, so I'm going to actually cut that and make it a little bit nicer, I think. We're also going to smooth out these corners a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. So again, I'm using the dirt road tool as just a little bit of a template so that I can bulldoze smaller segments of the road and then get in with the curve road tool and smooth out those corners. All this other roads in the back here I had used when I originally put the highway in, going through this new tile here, just as a template. So get rid of them for now and kind of plan out more of what I want to do. So we're going to have all three of the different types of helicopters in here. fire, police, and medical. And we do have the fire helicopters here already, so I'm going to just slide them over. Turn these off for now until I can get the utilities in. I think that'll look nice, having everything kind of centralized in one location, kind of a mini airport, where I can unlock the actual airport. I want to move the weather radar over there. Then I'm just going to make sure we have all of our utilities hooked up. Water and electricity. Oops. Just making sure my pipes go down the street. And I keep the same theme that I've been working on through the episodes. Now we got to figure out a way to connect this little island we have here with the rest of the road network. So I'm thinking of making a little tunnel here. We'll just go under our zoo for now. Then hook up with the road over here. I think that'll do just for now. I don't want to do anything too crazy right now. Eventually we will continue to develop this little strip of land on the other side of the highway here, but for now we'll just have the helicopter depots here. And I think the deep space radar should move over here as well. It doesn't really fit in the suburb over there. And another important building that I've been neglecting to put in was the disaster response unit itself, so we'll get one of those in there too. That'll be good enough. And for electricity, we'll come off of the lines that we have over this way, I think. That should be everything that is needed to turn everything on. Oh, here go our helicopters. Speed. Police helicopters doing a patrol. Pretty cool. Okay, looks like we still need to do some more residential over here. Just fill in a couple more squares. Be about time to turn on this elementary school over here as well, I think. Services are all in the green still. Looks like our tower's gonna need to move as well. Stick it over here with everything else. That should still cover the city, I believe. Everything looks to be okay. Abandoned commercial building over here, get rid of. I'll leave it on 3 speed for the nighttime, and once we get to daytime I will slow it back down to 1 speed. Everything still seems to be going quite well. So I was, for my universities, I was thinking of getting 2 in there. We have the Modern Technology Institute as well as the stock university that came with the original game. So my idea was to have one up here. Turn that off for now, as well as one down here. And down here I'm going to stick with the normal university instead of the Technology Institute. So we have another abandoned commercial building here. That may be a result of not having people with high enough education, so some of these buildings might be abandoned because of that. But now that we have our universities in, our citizens should be getting their education and be able to support higher tier commercial and industrial buildings. So I need to run some electricity for this new university here. Come along the avenue. Now we can turn this one on, I believe. It looks pretty cool. And now with that, I am also going to work on a metro system for the city here. I want to make sure our citizens can actually get to these universities because they're sort of a little bit out of the way, and because of that, they're going to likely want to drive. So if we can put in a metro station, then they will hopefully take that instead, and then our traffic will stay down, and we can not run into any troubles with that. And speaking of troubles, actually I forgot I should put in a Firewatch tower. The Firewatch towers are needed to signal our fire helicopters when there's a forest fire. So just make sure we get some of those in there. Make sure everything's covered. And as for the metro, we should start that as well. I'm going to have some of this stop at each of the universities, and a stop in the commercial district in our original suburb, and by the industrial sector, and then by the commercial district in our new suburb here. So I think that should be plenty of coverage, and I think our citizens will be more than happy to walk from where they live in the suburb to the metro stations because they do have all the pedestrian pathways that they can use. I'm going to get one right across the street from the university here. What I also want to do is try my trick of getting a pedestrian crosswalk. Oh, here we go. Maple Park has reached level 2. That will be our zoo. Awesome. And let's see how close our nature reserve is. Just about halfway. I think we should get in our new buildings to our zoo here. What did we get? Let me just look again. We got the bison enclosure and the insect, amphibian, and reptile house. Let's see how big that is. Now it looks like this is another one that has the pathway on the outside of it already. So it's all kind of weird connecting up to the pathways that I already have built into the park. So I'm going to put that one right there, and then I have to reconnect the pathways that it just destroyed. Shouldn't be a problem. And we're going to get the insects and amphibians in here. I think it'll do nicely right there. Now once I actually level the park up all the way to level 5 and I get an idea of how big all the enclosures are, I think I'm going to redo my layout of the zoo and get something a little bit nicer. But for now I'm just trying to get the buildings in and level the park up. So we're well above the next level for entertainment, for level 3. And again, we just have to wait for our visitors. So these new buildings, the bison enclosure, looks pretty cool. Very similar to the moose enclosure over here. But, you know, obviously it has bison instead of moose, but looks pretty cool. And insects and amphibians. Doesn't look like we can really see much of anything in there. Oh well, that's okay. Alright, where were we? We were doing our metro. What I want to do is try and get some crosswalks right here by the metro instead of everybody having to walk up by the top there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try my little trick that I did last time over in the new suburb here by having a little bit of a different segment of road right across here. Just pause it here for a second. And we're going to switch to this road, the road with the trees, and slide a little bit right there. And now that way, we have a little crosswalk here for our citizens to get across the street right as they exit the metro. Looks like we're going to need to do a little bit of terraforming in this area too. The metro seems to have disrupted the terrain here a little bit. That doesn't look too bad. I'm going to continue the game. Looks like we're back to daytime, so I'm going to turn it down to 1 speed. I think this is the same, this might have been the same commercial building that got abandoned last time. So I'm actually going to destroy it and then de-zone this area. Maybe wait a little bit for the demand for the commercial to increase again before I put anything back there. So I was going to have one metro stop here, then another one over here by our other university. And one right here by our commercial district in this new suburb. One by the commercial district of our original suburb here. And I'd like to have it a little bit closer to the actual road than too far away, so I'm going to move this park. Slide in the metro right there. See how that'll line up with everything actually. I think I want it to go that way instead. So stick it right here, corner. Move our park back just 1 square. And then get our pedestrian pathway back in. And then last, I think it would be best to have a metro station over here by our industrial district. Actually, we're going to need something kind of in the middle of this lower suburb, I think would be good. Down over here beside the fire watch tower. Let's see how that works. Now, just a matter of attaching everything, getting all our tunnels lined up. sharp corners. I could connect them directly like this. But it's a little bit of a sharp corner, so I think what I'm going to do... Well, actually, you know what? That's not too bad. That's not any sharper than some of the other corners I have on the roadway. I think that'll actually be okay. But I will definitely need something here. That is way too sharp of a corner. So what we're going to do... Come off this way a little bit. Back down. And what I can do... Delete that. See how this works. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not as bad as it was before. Hook up with this one over here. Then this one here needs to come this way. Looks like I can't cross the road tunnel, so we're just going to come straight this way. We're going to have to make a curve here. Straight here. Okay. Looks pretty good to me, I think. It's just a matter of connecting our train lines here. I think I'm going to have two lines. One going one way, and then another going the opposite direction. I think that should cover everything. So that'll be our first line. Second line is just going the opposite direction. There. Now we'll just let that run for a little while and see how many citizens we get using our new metro system here. I'm hoping it will be popular. Just sort of reduce some of the traffic that we have in our city. You can see a bunch of people already waiting in the stop here. It's pretty cool. Zero students at that university. 447 students at this one. I wonder what makes that one more popular than this one. Maybe here's somebody going to the university. Nope. Going to the metro. Cool. Our industrial area and our highway here is starting to get pretty busy with traffic. So it might be time pretty soon to upgrade this roundabout to something that's going to be a little bit more suited for the area. For right now, what I'm going to do, see how much it helps, is upgrade the two-lane road that I had from the very first episode to a highway. Hopefully that will help at least a little bit. Like I've destroyed my pedestrian walkway there. Let's redo that. Oh, that sucks. Okay. Doesn't look like it's too steep of a slope. Oops. I can't remember. Okay. that looks terrible though. Okay, take 2. That looks a bit better, I think. This one back in. I think we will also adjust this pathway here just to make it match the other side. Oh, it looks like the column for the left side here is 1 grid square over than this one here. That's probably why it wasn't quite lined up like the other one was. I guess we should just get rid of that. Fix it a little bit. Oh gosh, okay. That's a bit better. Much better. Okay, gonna continue upgrading the highway here. Everything else down here is already a highway, but I'm just going to upgrade it to a highway with barrier, just to reduce some of the noise pollution. I think up to about there should be good. Seems to have helped a little bit on this part of the highway here, but not so much on the avenue going into the industrial area. I'll have to think about something to do for this in the future. And you can see, wow, look at all of our citizens here, just coming out of the metro, going to work. Alright, so what I thought that we can possibly do, I know it's not really the best idea, but it's a short-term solution anyway, is we can just add another connection over here to the highway. And that way, all the trucks that are coming down and I want to go out to the outside connection here should come up to here instead, and that should free up the traffic lights here to allow trucks coming in to not have to wait as long, since there won't be as many trucks wanting to come out. Hopefully there won't be as many trucks wanting to come out at this intersection here. So I'll leave that there for now and just let it settle down and see what happens. Another thing I'd like to check is our metro, just to see how it's doing now that it's been a little while. And go to the panel here. Looks like we're getting 131 citizens per week, which is pretty good, I think. We can go into the, I'm not sure what this panel is called, the magnifying glass, and zoom in on each of our metro lines here and look at the number of people at each stop. It doesn't look like anything's overcrowded, so I think we can leave everything the way it is for now. Might actually even be able to reduce it to 3 trains instead of 4. So I think we should do that for both lines. Metro line 2, Metro line 1. I think we can get away with doing 3 trains instead of 4. Okay. Hopefully that starts to pick up over time. Still have no students in that university, but 530 in this one. I guess maybe they go to the university, the first university that you put down, and until that university reaches capacity, they don't move to this one. I guess the curriculum at the Modern Technology Institute is the same at the other university. I'm not really sure how it works. I don't know how complicated it gets, but that's kind of too bad. But eventually, hopefully, they will switch over to that other university there. That's all right. Now they're at nighttime. We're gonna just switch it up to 3-speed. This park here's got to be getting close. 340 out of 500. Let's see how the zoo is doing. 823 out of 2,500, so we got quite a ways to go on that one. I'm going to continue with the disaster services. I need to get in a bunch of emergency shelters for our new suburb, as well as a couple more for our original suburb here on the other tile. But I think a large shelter will do quite well for this suburb here. That should cover pretty much everything. Actually, I'm going to move this one to here to try and get that right corner a little bit covered better. Redo our pedestrian pathway here. Oh, looks like it destroyed the one going down the middle. What is happening? There we go. And then we'll redo the one along the back side here. Looks like we have to move it away just a little bit. That terrain looks terrible. Why is it like that? Okay. I'm just going to pause the game here for a second and move this away. And then try and flatten out that terrain a little bit maybe. And then move our emergency shelter back to where it was. I mean, I guess that looks a little bit better. Still not great. It'll be covered by some decorative trees maybe on the back side here, and then we won't notice it. Maybe just slide a couple in there right now. There. That works. Make sure we set up the route for our buses to evacuate people. What I want to do is just have it go mostly along the outside edge. That should cover pretty much everything. I'm going to put some stops over here. I realize that there's no houses here yet, but there will be eventually, so I'll get them covered there for now. Down this way, back in. That should cover mostly everything, I think. This large emergency shelter is going to be a little bit overkill in terms of the population size that we're going to have in the suburb here. The large emergency shelter can actually hold, I think it's 10,000 people. So in order to, you know, get that capacity of shelter, we're going to need 10 of these small shelters. But even if we were only going to put, let's see, what's the upkeep? $1,600 a week upkeep for the large one. If we were going to put even just four of these small emergency shelters, we're spending more per week than we would the large emergency shelter. So it's going to be a little bit spacious in there, but that'll be okay if the citizens have to evacuate. I'd like to put, I think, 2 more small shelters on our original tile over here. I think it'd be nice to have one right about here, as well as down here right at the end. I'm just going to do the routes for both of those real quick. think now that should cover pretty much everything that we have so far. As we continue to expand this suburb, both suburbs actually, we're obviously going to need a little bit more shelters when the time comes, but for now, it should be okay. Looks like we're having electricity problems over here. But we're in the yellow for our electricity. Have to put something in. Coal, oil. Looks like we've unlocked a geothermal plant. That'd be cool to get one of those in there. And it's too bad it goes, doesn't go lengthwise along the road here. That kind of sucks. So we'll have to slide it in somewhere over here. What's this other one here? What is this? Solar updraft. Barely have enough money to put one of those in, so we probably won't for now. Why don't we put it right here? I can move this over a little bit. Right there. That kind of fits in with the theme of that area there a little bit. Doesn't produce any pollution, so that's a really big bonus. Cool. Hope that'll be enough. Check out our water. We're going to need some more water stuff pretty soon. Our budget's at 100%, so we're at capacity for those things. And what I actually want to do is I'd like to replace. I actually went through and I made a list of some of the buildings that I wanted to put in, and one of them was the eco water outlet. Now these only have half as much capacity as the water drain pipe, so we'll need 2 for every one of these to replace, but it sounds like it produces a little bit less pollution, which I'm in favor of, so I'm not going to hesitate to put in a couple of these for our city. Might as well, while I'm here, just put a little bit extra because we're going to have to do an upgrade pretty soon anyway. Once those are on, then I'll turn off the old ones and get rid of them. Just waiting for these other 2 to come on. One, there's the other. Our sewage treatment capacity is well in the green. Get rid of these ones. Just check and make sure our power is still connected. I'm going to turn it up to 3 speed actually. Looks like we're running pretty low on funds here. There we go, level 2 for our nature reserve. A tent camping site and some viewing decks. Awesome. So, let's see what those look like. Oh, that looks really nice, I think. Oh, that looks awesome. That's sort of what I was trying to do with these little circle campsites here. Just kind of have their own little area to have their campsite in. So that's actually really cool. I think I want to get that on a little bit flatter ground. Oh, that didn't work. Let's actually move that back to right over here maybe. That looks okay there, and we're going to flatten out this area just a little bit so we can get another one of those parks in there. Cool. Let's just check the entertainment value. So we're already well above the, not well above, but slightly above, I guess, the entertainment value. And we're just waiting on visitors again. So I'd like to also start on putting the viewing decks. I don't know if any of you remember my original plan of having the viewing decks along the outside edge here to look across the city. Oh, looks like I've incorrectly done the highway here. Upgraded it and turned it the wrong way. Let's just check which way I need to go. There we go. That'll help. Looks like everything else should be okay. And it looks like our traffic here is significantly better than it was before. Nothing's really backing up at all. The trucks that are leaving the city seem to be going out the exit over here, which is actually working out quite well. Check our traffic here. 93%, that's what I like to see. Everything's looking pretty good. Now as for our viewing decks, I think I'd like to have some on, this is really tough to see. I might actually wait for it to be daytime. Looks like the sun is coming up right now actually. Perfect timing. Slow it down to 1 speed. I'd like to have maybe 2 different tiers of viewing decks. Have some on the lower section here and some on the upper section here as well. Alright, sorry about that. I had a little bit of an interruption. My microphone decided to stop recording, so I have to redo some of the stuff that I've already done, but that's alright. But as I was saying, the plan for the nature reserve is to have our observation decks sort of on the 2 platforms here of our mountain overlooking the city. But for now, just like the zoo, what I want to do is just sort of get everything in place, and then after I've unlocked everything, kind of do a plan for how I want my layout to be once I know what the size of all the buildings are. Because right now, I've never actually leveled up a nature reserve or a zoo, so I'm just kind of guessing what my layout should be like. I have a feeling some of the sizes of the buildings are going to be pretty big or small, depending on which park we're talking about. So I think once I have unlocked everything and have a better idea, I think I can make a much better layout. But for now, just getting everything in is going to be good enough. Throw in a couple observation decks here. Get some of the smaller ones. And then I think 2 more campgrounds across the way will look good. With some campfires. Kind of spaced out. I think that will look good. And with that, our entertainment value is nearly double what's required for the next level. So again, we just have to wait for visitors to come to the park. And our zoo over here, we've gotten to just over half the visitors needed for the next level. So these are coming along both quite nicely. And so one of the other things I was thinking about, or I did previously when I recorded this already, was our universities. So we have 2. I had thought that our students would split relatively evenly between each of the universities. I'm not sure why there's people in here, because it says there's 0 students. That's okay. With that, I was thinking that I should enable the education boost, because that will prioritize education over working. I have a feeling that a lot of our younger citizens are actually working in the industrial area or our commercial districts. So I think doing the education boost will help. And one other thing that I wanted to do was turn on the filter industrial waste. What that does is it reduces the amount of ground pollution in our industrial area here. So I think that would be good. And another thing I wanted to do before we end the episode was I wanted to do a little bit of decorating. I'm going to do that in a time lapse. But now that we have our fire helicopter depot, it's going to allow us to put in some trees. So our regular fire department doesn't actually fight tree fires, they only fight building fires. So I was hesitant to put too many trees around the city, just in case there was a fire. The fire would spread pretty quickly. So now that we have the fire helicopter depot set up, I think it'll be safe to put in some trees. And after I have finished doing the tree planting, we are going to go back and check our metro and our universities to see if the policy changes we've made have made a difference in the number of students in the city. So I will see you in a minute and enjoy the time lapse. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. This is what I've come up with. Near the end of the time lapse there, it was nearly nighttime, so I had to wait for the nighttime cycle to finish. So I've filled in just some of the empty space in our original suburb here for twofold. One, because I think it looks better than what we had before. But another reason was with the Parklife DLC, it introduced the ability for trees to actually absorb some of the noise pollution. So I especially wanted to put trees around our commercial district here to kind of help out our residences that live sort of close. But unfortunately, I do have the metro station right on the corner here across the street from this house, so it's a little bit noisy, but I don't think it's too bad. As you can see, I also decorated the front entrance to the nature park. If you look along here, this is a dirt road entering the nature reserve. I think that looks much better. And I'm going to put in some street lamps because that road is completely dark, so I have to put some of those in there. I think they are props from the nature reserve itself, actually. And then I will continue to expand on the tree decorations for the nature reserve once we get to tier 5 nature reserve and I can finalize the layout that I want to have. So for right now I just want to leave it blank because I don't want to have to go back and just delete a whole bunch of trees that I put in. It's kind of a waste at this point. And so before I started my time lapse, I talked about the worry of having fire spread because of our trees being in close proximity to our city here. So just as I was about to continue recording after the night cycle, I noticed that this park is actually on fire. So I'm just gonna let it play and wait here for a minute to see how much it spreads to the trees just on the side here, or if our fire department can get to it close enough, or pardon me, in time to put it out before it spreads too far. And it looked like everything worked out pretty good. We even had a little fire helicopter come in a little bit near the end, just to be sure. I don't think they actually had to use any of their water to put out the fire, so that's good. I think we had a fire department pretty close to that already anyway, but that's okay. Everything seems to have worked out pretty good. And we just want to put in a couple more residences here. Slowly going in. Our demand for residential is actually quite low right now. But I'm just going to check out our university. So we went from 0 students up to 400 now, and 950 in the students in the city. So we've nearly doubled the number of students in our city, which is pretty awesome. Let me just check our education tab here. So we actually have 2,000 eligible students, and about half of those students are in the university right now. Combination of both those two universities, not just this one. So I think that is turned out pretty good. I actually had a list of things that I wanted to do this episode, and one of the other main things that I wanted to get to was this side of the suburb needs a cemetery. Like up in that corner should cover everything pretty good. And I also wanted to try out, let me just check my list, the park and road maintenance buildings. I think we should get those in here. The park maintenance should be in the parks tab. Now, no pollution, no noise pollution. Truck capacity of 10. It doesn't look like... Oh, there we go. So it shows me what roads that it covers. So it looks like I would technically need 2 of these to cover everything in the city. So I'm going to start with 1 and see how that goes. Doesn't really look like I have much choice in where I'm going to put it. So for now, I'm going to just stick it right on here. The other thing I wanted to get in was the road maintenance in the roads tab. Again, 0 pollution, both noise and environmental pollution. So again, this one looks like we're going to need 2, but the building is significantly smaller. So it looks like I will be able to fit this in pretty much anywhere. So I think for now, we will have one here beside the Parks Department, as well as over here, just across the road from the Industrial District. It looks like we have a tab for our road condition, and I think I'm going to do a short time lapse and unpause the game and see our roads improve. Alright, I think that looked pretty cool. Looks like our roads are in much better condition now. I don't know if anybody noticed, but a lot of our buildings actually were leveling up. I think for this last tier we were missing increasing land value for leveling up the building. So that is pretty cool. Let me just check out our breakdown of levels of our areas here. As you can see, most of the residential here is actually at the highest level or 1 level below. All of our industrial buildings are maxed out, and actually all of our commercial buildings are maxed out, so I think that's going pretty good. With that, I think that will be enough to end this episode here. Thank you very much for watching along. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or a comment. If you didn't enjoy the video, please leave a dislike. I'd like any sort of feedback. And thank you very much again for watching. Please subscribe, and you can follow along as we build the city together, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you.